Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. The direct purchase and pricing question email line from you to me and my crew with your questions about purchasing this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the Lange Sohne Datograph, a 39mm rose gold flyback chronograph. This is a model that debuted back in 2005, and it represents the original Datograph design that bowed back at Basel 1999. And now the watch, of course, is incredibly handsome and reasonably trim. Despite its relatively pot-bellied appearance, it's 13mm thick, which is less than I expected, and from lug to lug a reasonable 47.7mm, so you can actually wear this watch on a smaller wrist in spite of its imposing stance. 20mm between the lugs, meaning you'll have many options in that universal size. Large rectangular scale alligator leather. It's a sort of medium brown, semi-gloss, folded edge with a monotone stitch, and as you can see, this is a brand new Lange factory strap. You will be the first to gouge or crimp it, and you will do so with this, a matching rose gold pin buckle. And as you can see, it has all of the Lange pin buckle traits: outer faceting, high polish, and of course it has that elevated bridge between the two pins so that the strap sits inside the buckle rather than underneath. There's also a retaining bar to prevent the strap from getting stuck on your wrist if you have to buckle it down real tight on one of the smaller holes, a feature that I have always appreciated. The case band is of high polish, and as you can see, it has lugs that are dramatically stepped out, and it has a case back that's set back rather dramatically. So on the wrist, the watch does look considerably slimmer than its still reasonable 13mm size. Turn it all over. You can see the pushers are all of high polish to match the case. We have a Lange branded crown, and the pushers are rectangular in a vintage fashion that is fitting with the rest of the watch's style. It's a little bit anachronistic in some regards. Every Lange wristwatch feels like it's got some pocket watch DNA in it, but it is a sporty watch, if not quite a sports watch. First, note that it features a flyback chronograph, reset and restart to time 2 events in rapid succession. A second, you can see there is a tachometer scale outboard calibrated for things moving relatively quickly, so if you need to gauge the speed of a race car on a fixed distance, you can use the tachometer scale for that. It is also a loomed dial, which is not something I expected on what is ostensibly a dress complication. Now you can see there is a flange outboard, so the dial has excellent depth. The dial and the flange both crafted from sterling silver that are then galvanized, the two pieces are, to create this opaline or flat matte gray that you see. So it is silver, but it does have a galvanized coat atop to create the color you see. There are rose gold hands at center, a rose gold frame for the date, rose gold Roman numerals, and rose gold stick indices. Now the watch has an instantaneous jumping chronograph and snailed sub-registers for the constant seconds and chronograph minutes. I'll stick around long enough to watch the instantaneous jump of the minutes register because I know you want to see it since I've teased it. There it is right there. Sharp as a tack. Turn it all over. Living the dream. The Lange Sohne caliber L9511. Adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, it is a column wheel lateral clutch chronograph, and as you can see, the column wheel, as well as the cap for the escape wheel and the cap for the chronograph driving wheel, the swan's neck regulator, and all of the screws that are used for regulation of the mechanism, plus the case clamp screws. You can see they are all black polished. You can see all of the black polished components, poly noir being the highest standard of optical finish, and here it's not just screws, it's huge expanses of the movement geography. Manual wind and adjusted in 5 positions, like I said, it beats away at 18,000 vibrations per hour with an overcoil hairspring to allow it to keep excellent time in any orientation with respect to gravity. Now you have the 36-hour manual wind power reserve, and winding the watch is an absolute dream. Operating the column wheel, likewise, is a tactile pleasure, as you have the ability to feel and hear a truly well-tuned chronograph. It almost feels as though it sucks the chronograph pusher in when you depress it halfway. It's that sharp. You'll also note that all of the levers and horns and the yoke itself for the chronograph are satin finished on their tops and then polished with a mirrored anglage on their edges. Another element that I want to shout out is that there's somewhere between 5 and 6 interior angles just on the chronograph clutch, which is extraordinary, as many fine movements don't include a single interior angle. You have blued screws, fired blue in a kiln, and then of course you also have the jewels, the pivot jewels, principally for the chronograph functions, set in screw-fixed chiton with those kiln-fired blued screws holding those pivot jewels in place. You'll also note that there is mirrored anglage not just on the levers and horns of the chronograph system, but also on the edges of every bridge, as each one has been manually beveled and optically smoothed out, not executed with a machine. There's engine turn perlage on the base plate and a little bit of glasuta stripes across the bridges. You can also see a freehand engraved half bridge for the balance, and again, these being freehand engraved without any kind of an engine or a lathe, no two will be exactly alike. An impressive watch, 30 meters water resistant, so not truly an aquatic sports watch, but I do consider this watch to be something of an unlikely sporting option. Pusher adjuster system for the grand date, and of course there is a stop seconds or hacking function for the watch itself. Every mechanical refinement you could possibly desire and every aesthetic refinement the imagination can muster. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the Lange Sohne Datograph in rose gold.